Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the end of the week. Isn't that lovely? And we just got some new NBA Top Shot news in the form of parallels. So we'll talk about that a little bit today with my special guest, Steve, aka Intangible. And we can also talk a little bit about the beginning of the NBA season and many other things that happened this week in terms of roadmap news releases. So, without further ado, I know that Steve's on a little bit of a schedule limit here. So, I'm just making sure he's cool in the back. It looks like he's fine. So, I'm going to bring in Steve. But before I do, I'll play one of those videos that I made way back when I did my, when I brought him on many moons ago. So for those for those listening, that was me by a pier as a large whale leaped over my head, and that was supposed to be Steve. So there's the man that was cooking with Cade. How are you, Steve?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you're a married man. The last time we spoke, you were not married, and now you are.
Got a ring on it now.
All right. So what's that like? How's that changed your life?
It hasn't really changed a whole lot. I mean, we were dating for like 10 years prior, so it feels like we were already married. But it's good. I'm really happy.
That's awesome. That's good. That's good. So anyhow, I think you had a pretty unique experience that you were cooking with Cade. Were you cooking Mexican food? It looked like you were making tacos?
No, it was really interesting. So they broke us out into teams of 3, and we were tasked with making a deconstructed stuffed pepper.
A deconstructed stuffed pepper.
Yeah. So they gave us all the ingredients, and they said they want it to be basically like kind of exploded on the plate. They didn't want it in the stuffed pepper. They wanted it like, and that's basically the only instruction they gave us. They gave us the ingredients, and they just said like, go at it. And whichever team, like each team is going to be evaluated by Cade, and the winning team kind of just gets like a photo and kudos. And yeah, it was great.
So how was your stuffed pepper? Was it any good? Did Cade like it?
He loved it. So funny thing. So Kraken, he's another huge collector. He attended the experience. He was I was on his team because he mentioned that years ago he was a chef. So like I felt like we had a ringer because he knew how to cook. He knew all the things. And so, yeah, the guy knew what he was doing. And I was happy to be on his team.
So you were one of those kids in the school project that just lets the other person do all the work, then you just get the high grade in the
Not
end.
exact. I was trying my best to contribute, but he knew what he was doing, and I was basically just following his lead. And yeah, we took home the first place photo, I guess you could say. I want to say trophy, but I guess the photo is the trophy.
And what else could you share just about that experience? Like, did you guys hang out with Cade at all? Were you just like chatting it up with him, or
Yeah,
what's it like to be in one of those experiences?
it was really cool. You never know with athletes if they're going to be, uh, I don't know, let's say engaged with it, right?
Yeah.
But no, it seems like Cade, like he enjoyed himself. He basically made an effort to kind of talk to everyone, see what was up. Um, and yeah, he was personable. And he spent like a good amount of time with us. Like I'd say in total it was probably about an hour and a half of his time. But we were like cooking and chatting and um, because it was like what eight people and their guests, so it was like 16 of us plus a bunch of dapper folk, and then some of the kitchen staff that were at this kitchen experience. I mean, he made a good. It was good. We made some good quality time for everyone, I think, and I enjoyed it.
That's cool. But did you feel like you were missing that element of being able to play one on one or knockout with him? Were you like, I wish we could just leave the kitchen for a few minutes and just play some
Uh,
knockout?
yeah, I mean, obviously, that's always like that's always going to be fun. I wasn't complaining though. I wasn't be like, oh my god, Dabbers, this is awful. I'm only hanging out with this guy for an hour and a half and just shooting the shit. Like this is so bad. I wasn't doing that. I was over the moon. Um, so you won't hear me complain about any of that.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, I feel like we have quite a bit to talk about this week in terms of new news from Dapper. A blog was just released today. I guess we could talk about that if you have an opinion on that, which is these parallels. So, a new twist on base set collectibles. And big idea here is that, as they told us previously, and it did seem like some people kind of missed the language, but 8K plus, I don't love that plus, but 8K plus of the base and another 8K limited edition spread out again across these parallels. So the first is more limited than the next, than the next, and the next. So 4 different sets totaling. That's a hard total of 8K. So first of all, I guess just quick impressions of this. Like, how are you feeling about it?
I like it. Um, it's different. Like they're clearly experimenting with this. I like it for a few reasons. One, just to go back to that CC plus. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan either. And my only complaint about this whole thing at this stage is um, just some clearer justification for when they're going to mint more. Like I just want to see like because the reality is we will keep buying packs forever. Like we'll just keep buying them. So they need to basically have a little self control and say we're not going to print more.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like if they have certain milestones for like, okay, we've onboarded another 10,000 active users, we kind of have to print a few more.
Yeah.
If that was clearer, then like I'd be happier. But besides that, I think starting out with AK is fine. In terms of the parallels, this is really fascinating because it's the same moment. Like it's the same thing. It's the same. It's the same. It's common. It's not like on the surface, it's not special. But why I like it is that I think this is kind of designed for collectors. It's not expensive. It won't be expensive. These are commons, but it adds like a new flavor to being able to like maybe you just want to collect like the 1,000 level, the 1,000 edition LE. Like that's kind of cool, right? Or maybe the 4,000. Like it gives a little bit more of a. I think this appeals to collectors. And then we're talking about like 500 edition LE commons, like that.
Right.
That's kind of insane. Like that's rare level, like in normal terms. So to put that in a common set, um, I don't know. That's really fascinating. And then another quick thought that I had on it is I think this might make the case for serials like a little bit more difficult because in the past, at least for myself, when I'm buying a moment, sometimes I look for what else can I buy for like $1 more or like $2 more, and like if the cereal is like dramatically better, then sometimes I'll spend $1 more, and like instead of like a 4-digit serial, I'll have a 3-digit serial, because I'm just OCD like that. But now when you have parallels, it kind of makes you think like, wait a minute, for $1 more, maybe I can get like a parallel 3 moment. And this is just going to add a new twist to this whole collecting thing on the low end. And I like this. Again, this is designed for like, I'd say entry level collectors. This just seems like, I don't know, it just seems on the surface well thought out. I think I like it. If this were me and I was a brand new collector, I'd be like, yeah, these moments aren't going to be super expensive. They shouldn't be. Maybe the 500 editions are, but the other ones probably not.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if the 500s will be like as expensive as a rare 500. That wouldn't make sense to me just because like the utility isn't the same in terms of flash challenge utility and things like that. I could see the difference being a few bucks though, and I think that like what I see other people also writing on Twitter is just that what does feel good about this on some level is that it's a like direct correlation to the physical market. So if we're going after the physical collectors, which hopefully we are, then they'll come and then something will feel, cozy to them. They'll understand it. But I also wonder how it's going to work when people want more than just like a different look. Like what else is there to this? Because I feel like that's always where the conversation goes. Like, where's the utility? What do I get for this? And actually, Bleezy shared something interesting that I'm seeing a lot more of online as well, which is like, how do we add more, and not only just add more to the moments, but actually add more things to like these hot packs, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But I wonder if there's some way that we can add more than just moments. It doesn't have to be anything like too ridiculous, but it can be fun, interesting things like a jersey or league pass or whatever to sort of just take us away from just this idea of rewards being moments in a way. Do you have any thoughts on that actually about, have you ever thought about being able to include other things in packs? Do you like, from a technical idea, do you think that would be very difficult to do?
I don't think it would be. Um, and it's been chatted about for like it's been mentioned in one way or another for as long as I can remember. I think MBL had a very clear post on it today that kind of repeats a lot of what I've heard, and it would be amazing to have the equivalent of like a redemption card in a pack where you can redeem it for a shirt or a hat or a ticket or a hot dog. Um, and if you don't redeem it, you can sell it on the market for someone who does want to redeem it, and that'd be pretty cool. Um, I don't know logistically if there are challenges around that. I mean, I know they've had to get like approval for like merchandise and whatever. So I don't know if, on that end, but I like the idea of adding new things to it. It's fun.
Yeah. So Micaway says the craft should have been the option for parallels. Take the base set moment that you want, burn a bunch of commons to go with it to upgrade. That does make a lot of sense. Do you think that this wasn't considered for some reason, or what do you think about that idea?
I mean, that sounds brilliant. What I'll say is, I think we're just nitpicking at this point. I think either way, I like it. It's a step in the right direction. And yeah, maybe next year, that's exactly what we want. Or next iteration of something like they're not going to nail this thing on the first try for anything that they do.
Right.
Lots of room for improvement. So, but I like that idea. I don't think it's a good enough idea to like be like, oh my God, this other way of doing it is awful. Because I don't know, from what I read, it sounds pretty cool, but obviously burning just sounds better and it's cooler. So.
All right, so we have some more information that was dropped yesterday, and this was about the drops. This was about the hot packs. So loot packs? No. These are not loot packs. These are hot packs. So we'll look at this again. The chance at a rare, a parallel, as we just learned, or a rookie debut. So that also allays some of the fears that people had about the rookie debuts, thinking they were only going to be available in like a rookie debut set, which is not the case. A rare parallel, rookie debut, all possible in these $10 packs. Base set mints again at the 8K plus. So we expect them to be popular and consistently available. That part tripped me up a little bit. What did you think about the consistently available language? That almost felt like locker room packs. Are these like locker room packs that are paid? It confused me a bit. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, also confused. Consistently available, it usually sets off alarm bells for like you can just keep printing as long as we're buying. I don't know. I'm hoping that that's not the case, and it's basically like, well, consistently available is if you're a new user and you haven't and you want to KYC yourself, you can get a pack kind of thing. Maybe that's what that means. They have hinted they're using the locker room to distribute. Their language is a bit fuzzy sometimes, but like they did say something like they're going to allocate a portion of the drop to distribute through the locker room. It was like, okay, well, how much is a portion? Like they didn't give any numbers, so I don't know. I'm sure we'll find. I think the locker room though is one of the main mechanisms that people can always like basically roll the dice to try to get something new.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I mean, I like that it's deflationary. I like that people can play those crappy odd games if they want to, and like I don't see the problem with that. And it also, I think it hurts people less than they feel hurt when they drop $10 on something than when they lose like the equivalent of a $2 moment that they've already bought, months ago. I think the sentiment difference is very radically different. But we can find that here. So fresh moments, one of the most, let's see, it will enable Top Shot's ability to mint those moments when they happen, which I don't quite understand why that's in this part of the blog, but let's see. This part too, I didn't really understand. The variety of moments within hot pack drops will give collectors the opportunity to own different types of moments and pursue sets as moments get released closer to when they happen in the season. Am I the only one lost there, or did that make sense to you?
Could be clearer.
Okay. But hot packs won't be our only mechanism. Packs with guaranteed version legendaries will also be available, and we are improving our distribution strategy to ensure that a higher portion of each rookie 4K.
This is a good point. So what this means is like in seasons prior, they might release. How they'd be like, we're doing a base set drop, and you're going to have Scotty Barnes rookie in it, but there's going to be 50% released. Like let's say 2,000 of the 4,000 minted will be in this drop, and then we'll do like kind of a slow drip throughout the rest of the season. What they mean by that line that you just had is basically they're going to release, instead of 50%, they're going to release basically the majority of it. My understanding is like 80% upfront. So the benefit of that is you won't have like weird bottleneck situations, right? Like basically they're trying to get as much out there as quickly as possible and prevent the slow drip thing, because the slow drip just results in, again, these weird bottleneck scenarios. So I think that makes a whole lot more sense to me.
Sure. So then we have the RSVPs, which I'm a fan of. I think people spending 5 hours a day in a pack drop doesn't make much sense. This part too, if you want to confirm a pack or two, like I hope 2 is like the maximum. I mean, this is back again to your point. I feel like I need some kind of a meme of Top Shot collectors like eating glue or something, because they just line up over and over again. But anyway, so there's that. The RCPs, I think that's great for people who are international and people who live in like Korea and Japan, Australia. This part I actually really thought was interesting, is that they gave us a look under the hood here. And this is something, and I forgot what we were talking about earlier, but this is something where we get to understand how the decisions were made. And I think that builds a lot of trust, and that really improves sentiment. So I really appreciated that. I think this is when you were talking about how will we know when you guys decide to increase the amount of those 8K pluses? Because like, as of right now, depending on how you want to define active users, right? So we just had the Jason Tatum burning challenge, and almost 10,000 users completed that burning challenge, which was good to see. But then the question remains, though, if every base player is 16K, is that a bit high if the amount of active users is around 10? And I think the argument would probably be yes, it's a little too high if the amount of active users are 10K anyhow. So that's why it would be nice to know, well, this is why we're thinking this number, and this is how we intend to adjust it if the following things happen. But they give us a little look under the hood here. They say they surveyed people, and obviously people don't like sitting and waiting in queue. So that was an obvious one. And they want the packs to cost less than lunch. All right, fine. Both make perfect sense. People want to be able to pull different rarities in those packs. And the big hits is a big thing. So sure, that's fine too. But the packs needed to offer better value long term. I'm not quite sure how they achieve that.
I think that's the parallel thing. I think
Okay.
that's maybe the parallels is part of the strategy there. Again, like they're really reframing what it means to pull. Okay, so let's just hypothetically say these are all minted 16K, because that's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you pull serial number, 5,970 or something. It's like, oh,
Sure.
like this sucks. But now it's like, no, you didn't pull that serial. You pulled number 500 of like parallel 3 into it. Just like changes this, like the feeling of what you just got. And I think it just like it resets you for what that means. So it's just like it's maybe clever manipulation from like a psychological standpoint, even though it's the same thing. But I think it's good. Like that's not a bad thing. That's just like it's the same thing, but just said in a different way. And it a little bit. I mean, it still has the groups of different parallel levels, but I think it's a step in the right direction to convince people that what they have isn't just junk all the time, right? Or that they feel cheated by this thing, because now like, well, no, I got a really rare parallel. Like that's pretty cool. I don't know.
But don't you think that like at the end of the day, whatever people are willing to pay for those parallels or whatever is going to pretty much decide the sentiment? It's like if people are all undercutting each other down to $2, then I don't care. It could be a beautiful moment, but like, what are you gonna do when people are like, oh man, I've spent $10 and I got back 6 over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that side of things. Again, fundamentally, like I've always believed this should be like a collectible platform. People just enjoy collecting, and like if everyone's here to just like wring out every dollar from every pack drop, and then like they're just looking at this as like some kind of a purely financial play, I think you're gonna have a bad time. And so just to your point, like I don't know, and I don't really care. Like this is like something that I think they're optimizing for collectors first, whether it's like whether you lose $1 or $2 along the way, like you had some fun, like the Tatum thing. We had a brief DM about it, but yeah, it was minted to almost 10K, right? On paper, it's worth like $5. So the people maybe lose $1 or $2 minting it, maybe. Even though last week I was buying Tatum and Jalen for $2 a pop, like. Okay, well, anyways, side note, but so is it possible someone paid $3 each and lost $1? Like, yeah. Is that a big deal? No. Like they participated in the game. They like is losing $1 to mint or to get a chance at like a low serial, or just even to participate with the community, is that a bad thing? I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. And also, again, it's like it's making you make decisions, and I think that makes the game more interesting. So if you only have a couple of those moments, and now you got to decide: am I selling into this challenge, or would I prefer to get the pack and play the serial lottery or whatever? Like, what's worth more to you? Would you rather have those couple bucks, or would you rather, you get to choose? And I think it obviously gets a lot more interesting once the burning and the challenges get more higher tier. So I actually wanted to get your quick reaction to this Kawhi Leonard burning challenge, where you're going to have to burn a TSD of any team that goes 0-2 and own a rare of any team that goes 2-0. Like, in my opinion, I think that, first of all, obviously the Twitter horde is very, very quick to react. I think they're trying to find their footing right now, which is why we're seeing like little movements at a time. But so what do you think about that, first of all?
Well, let's keep in mind that this challenge set is 3 different sets, 3 different tiers, basically.
Yeah.
Some are designed for entry level, some are mid level, some are high level, of like how much do you want to spend. Like the high end, a lot of these guys want to compete and try to get like a rare moment. So you kind of have to keep everyone a bit happy. And I think having 3 sets does that. You don't have to chase every single one, because here's the beauty of this. Last year, we saw this with MSFE, with like the Paul George at the very end or whatever. It's like, imagine chasing a set for the entire season. You're literally grinding this thing out for like 7 months, and some weird bottleneck situation comes up, and now you will never be able to complete your set. Like, I would feel a bit cheated. So the solution of breaking it into 3 distinct categories kind of solves that, because on the low end, you should, if you keep up with the challenges on a weekly basis or whatever, you'll be able to finish a set and it'll be complete end of season, like no question. On the mid tier, like you might, but it's going to be challenging. And then the champion level is like, well, I'm expecting to get like screwed at some point, and that's okay. That's part of the game. If I finish that set, like I'll be pretty happy, but I am not counting on it, right? I mean, I still don't have a metallic gold silver edition or metallic silver a Phantom edition. I don't have that set yet, and I probably won't ever, because that Paul George, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I like the 3 tiers, and yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It more cleanly splits it up and doesn't screw over people who are trying to collect the whole set. You get to kind of choose your lane. But one question though I had for you was this Kawhi Leonard one, right? So Kawhi Leonard, and again, maybe this is like collecting to collect versus trying to play the flip game and and keeping a harder eye on like scarcity and trying to play that game. Because right now, the way this would work is that, so Kawhi Leonard's going to have a bunch of new moments minted, and then like the lowest TSD of the losing team will be burned. So in some ways, it's sort of detrimental to the Kawhi Leonard collectors.
Because they're minting more Kawhi.
Correct. So like if let's say it was the Lakers, right? So then all of a sudden, I don't know, 10,000 Smush Parkers are removed from the platform, and then 10,000 new Kawhi Leonard's numbered to 10K are added to the platform. A, do you think this is a problem? And B, if it is problematic, I think, would you assume that this is something they're going to be thinking about further as we go?
Yeah, that's a good question. At this stage, I'm not confident that it is problematic, because I think you might be burning Smush Parker moments, but like in most cases, those are low value moments, and people didn't really want them anyways. Versus something like a Kawhi, where like it would have been minted anyways. And think about the alternative. Imagine if the Kawhi was the first moment of on the opening night. If it was the Tatum and it was going to be minted at 10,000, so that could be a possibility. But I'm confident the Kawhi will not be minted at 10,000. So it might be minted to 1,000, or just for as an example. In which case, that's a better outcome. Minting to 1,000 is a better outcome than minting to 10,000.
But you think it only mint to 1,000 if people can burn any TSD and hold any rare of the winning 2-0 team and burn any TSD of the 0-2 team?
Well, the bottleneck now is the rare. Like, how many people are going to own a rare from every team, right?
Sure.
So is it? I think maybe 1,000. That's the number I have on top of my head. I'm just pulling out of thin air, but like, it's not 10,000. I'll tell you that.
It's a good question. No, it won't be 10,000. It might be 5,000. I don't know. I'll meet you halfway. But anyhow, I think that's interesting, and also because, like, the whole concern that a lot of people in this community currently have is like, how do we get things scarce again? How do we make it so that a Jason Tatum can't be bought on the market for $2? And I think that is always going to be a concern. And so one idea about this Tatum, for example, is we know that he can have only one fandom moment. Is that right? So that fandom moment was the only one he can have all season. And then he can only have one base moment, right? But then we don't know how many like non-base he can have, like on that level. Do we know yet, or we don't know?
I don't think we know. I don't know with certainty.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, that to me, I think that's my concern about this stuff, and I think probably most people's concern is just how do the good players,
thing, right? Again, like for me, the way I look at this is going to take a long time to basically like fix. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to take a season. It's going to take 2, 3, maybe 3 seasons. But if this continues, like, it will be fixed. There's no question. Because look at this challenge for the Tatum challenge. two moments were burned and one emerged. You do that often enough, like it's a supply reduction. Like in my opinion, it's not aggressive enough. And to your point, like the real winner in the Tatum challenge wasn't Tatum; it was Jaylen Brown. Like because you burned a Tatum and you minted a Tatum. You burned a Jaylen and you got nothing. So
Exactly.
it almost makes more sense. They might tweak because they're not dummies. They're just the first one of the season. I think it makes a whole lot more sense to be like, okay, Tatum was number one in the challenge. You have to burn 2 Tatums and a Jaylen, because then it's like, oh, okay, got it. Because now you have actual reduction in the star who won. Because the winning player, it's almost counterintuitive, but like the person who's the best should have the least amount of moments on the platform, or kind of, right? They should be rewarded because they're scarce.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope over time that'll kind of come out, but it's gonna. And we've only gone through 2 of these things, right?
I know. We're ready to overreact.
But some other things you might have seen that tweet that I put out, but some things that like are really encouraging to me is that Tatum 60K base. It was the only 60K base on the platform that had 0 burns on like Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only one. And so like by that definition too, it was tied, but it was one of the moments in the platform that had 0 burns. It had the least amount of burns. And now it's in 3rd place, and actually Jaylen's in 2nd. So if Jaylen wasn't, then maybe Tatum would have been in 2nd. But the fact that you can go from one challenge, go from last to like the 3rd most burned moment, that's really encouraging. They got to keep that up across the board for stars, for rookies. Even this Top Shot debut thing on the weekend, like I like that, because one of my complaints about it is they've almost they've kind of destroyed what it means to hold a Top Shot debut in some ways. They've over minted. Like think about this too. Those 12K Top Shot debuts. Remember when they defined that if your first moment, kind of, if you weren't a rookie, would be 12K. They defined that rule at like the peak, right? When we had 500,000 users using the thing. So like to me, to not revise that, that didn't seem right. And then you had like archive set moments that were minted to 20K for some Top Shot debut. Like this is insane. So they have diluted that brand of like having that badge be special. So like I hope that they just continue to do the burning of Top Shot debuts or badges or whatever, because I think that's an important part of the brand, is like this. It's supposed to be important. It's a badge moment. Like, so anyways, I take that as a sign of encouragement.
Yeah, and they could have also done something along the lines of Top Shot debut and can't be an archive or something, since the archives are just minted to such a crazy high number. Let's see. I know I'm going to look at some of these comments, but I know Mets wanted to ask about your beard. Are you putting wax, oils? Are you trimming it in a certain way?
Yeah, trimming it a bit. I don't put a lot of product in it. Just use a good like conditioner, and But,
For the beard, no oils, no oils.
No, a little bit of beard oil.
Yeah, you got to have the beard oil.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, I hope that answers your
Matt,
question.
thanks for asking. Great question.
All right, let's see. It's just hard to catch up on these comments. They're like all over the place in here. People are kind of having their own discussion over here. Yeah, sure, why not? Any comments on, did Balenciaga drop Kanye? I thought that was like the Gap.
The Kanye thing is really unfortunate. It's like just witnessing a breakdown, a mental breakdown of someone in real life, and he obviously has mental issues, and I don't want to see anyone like, it's a sickness. This guy's sick,
I know.
I don't know.
It kind of shows you how predatory the media is. It's like, oh, like this is going to be like watching a car on fire on the side of the highway. Well, let's just like double down on this as hard as we can. It's pretty.
It's really sad. I mean, like, not really a fan of the guy, but like, it's sad to see anyone just kind of do that, like just break down completely in public. And I don't know. It's really sad. And that they're even giving him a microphone to do that shit.
I know.
I don't know. I don't like that either. I don't like giving microphones to people who are like just spewing hate and shit like that. Like, cut them off. Why do we even tolerate that kind of shit? It's for the clicks. I know why. It's the ads.
It is. It's the clicks. It's right? People love it. They just can't stop. I mean,
but yeah, I don't think
it's addictive.
Giving platforms to people like that, I don't think that helps.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so there was another post. We can see if there's anything interesting in it, which is the challenges post. Did anything stick out? I'm kind of remembering. I'm trying to remember if there's anything super interesting here. I mean,
Oh, I
we were on
remember this
here.
because, like, when I first read this, I was confused with like, I just want to see a calendar, right? I'm like, just give me a calendar, and then because it says here like challenges will fall on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Sunday, and then at the very after that, it's like, um, yeah. Then after that, a little bit further down, it says something like Tuesdays and Thursday. Oh, sorry, just it was the line below that. It said Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me basically it'll happen every day of the week, but sometimes more. So I wrote a little calendar. I tweeted it out of like
I saw that.
a simple. I didn't mean it to be a joke. Honestly, it was like
No, I didn't.
legitimate.
I didn't
And
think
some
it was
people
a
were like,
joke.
"This is hilarious." I'm like, no, this is like I'm serious. Like sometimes, and not often.
Right. Um, yeah, I don't know. The challenges are great. I mean, I think the only concern I have with the challenges is that people, again, I need like the Ralph Wiggum eating the glue, because people are going to get burnt out because they're like making dumb decisions and like not thinking it through and thinking that they are entitled to every challenge that happens on the platform. And I think people might start doing challenges and then being like, wait a second, I burned $10 worth of moments and this people are selling it for 5. This sucks. And like not really thinking things through. And that I fear that a little bit, because this is a community of thousands of people, and if the majority start stamping their feet and being upset, that's bad. And that's why Top Shot has to kind of act as custodians of their community, as I've said in the past. It's also why I think you're saying like, don't let the community buy 50 packs just because they're available.
They will. They
And
will. These people, everyone will do it. You know it. Like,
I know they'll do it, and then they'll like make memes about max packs and give each other high fives while the Titanic is sinking. So like we have to think carefully here. But anyway, do you think what ideas do you have to avoid challenge fatigue? Because aren't we seeing that also on like NFL All Day? I'm not active on NFL All Day. I don't know if you are, but what's interesting to me is that on NFL All Day, we had everyone like maybe 3 weeks ago all over Twitter, like, oh, NFL All Day, like like that what was that NFL play when the guy's about to score a touchdown and he starts like dancing and like celebrating and they get stripped from behind like at the 3-yard line or something. I mean, this is kind of what just happened. It's like everyone is claiming NFL All Day is the smartest. They're so smart. They're so incredible. They're doing everything right. But then, of course, what do we see? We see people get challenge fatigue or playbook fatigue. We see the market cap slouching a lot more precipitously than ever before. So it seems like this kind of stuff kind of just naturally occurs. And I'm wondering if there's any lessons that can be learned from what we've seen on Top Shot, on All Day, and how NBA Top Shot can kind of avoid that fatigue. Do you have any ideas there?
it's the $1 million question. I've been doing this for almost over 2 years now, and like at times I'm exhausted. It's hard to keep up with everything. It really is. So it's a really good question. I think the answer to me is like reframing what it means to do a challenge. And like, you don't have to, like, maybe even encouraging, don't do every one of them. Like, just pick one a month or every other week or whatever, because every single one, man, that's a marathon of doing these challenges. And it's a bit of a grind at that point. I don't even know how to frame it in a way to be like, don't do every single one of them, because Top Shot does want you they want you engaged in the platform and using as often as possible. But it can be addicting, and we know this, right? Like, using the thing can be addicting, and we all want to like earn a new moment. And I don't know. There's no easy answer for this.
Yeah. Dream Shaker. I just want fun basketball challenges again. First or last of anything is lazy AF. I think Dream Shaker's been having a conversation about that challenge for like the last 20 minutes about how people had to have the first basket, and he was upset about that. Jay Met says you're going to do every single challenge, even if it means your beard gets unruly.
Hey, when he's right, he's right.
And And Jules thinks that if people who do all the challenge will get a one of one award. So Jules is like kind of taking it in the other direction from you, Steve. He's saying like, they do it all.
I don't
Anyhow,
know if they would, because like they said before, they'd announce like a master challenge ahead of time if that were true.
right, right. All right. So Steve, I know you got to go soon. So the last one is the first one, which was the first release of the roadmap blog, which is on Monday. They talked about legendary scarcity, rare scarcity, and commons, etc. Now, did anything stick out to you? I'll tell you what stuck out to me immediately was just the fact that it seemed like the rares were not much rarer. It's just the fact that there's less commons is what makes this number seem a little different. And the legendaries, like did the legendaries or the rares, did those stick out to you in like being more rare in any way, or what did you think about it?
The legendary, no, because it like minted to 99. We've seen that, so it almost seemed like business as usual, which I don't disagree with. I think legendaries are basically fine as is. I think 99. I mean, you could have made a case to go a bit lower, but the rare side, what stuck out to me was the 400 mint count of the MGLE, and I think it's the same blog. They talk about, oh, no all-star set. Yeah, exactly. Like the all-star set we all know was like the kiss of death.
Yeah, I know.
The best player.
Can we just stop all NBA Top Shot announcements and activity around the All-Star game? I think we'd all be a lot better off for it.
Yeah, but like minting 2000 of like a good player, it was just like, holy shit, this thing is not a good idea.
Yeah.
So really happy that they're not doing that. But the MGLE, I think it was the same blog. It was like they're gonna pick the best 3 players from every team, which was like the prior what they used to do for like in the past holo sets. They would pick like the best 3. So I kind of like that, because the MGLE sets, like 150 is pretty ambitious to collect. So this 90 is going to be really special, and I don't know, I like it.
Oh, so here was the thing about the locker packs that you were talking about.
Yeah, portion of
So
every drop.
yeah, a portion of every drop will go directly to the locker room. So we saw that before. They did that before with the latest All-Star game drop.
No, but
I
this
think.
is different because it's like every drop. Before it was like they did it on a handful of times.
But I actually think this is a good thing. I think having people like consistently using the locker room is probably a good thing, right? We want to. I wish it was even more aggressive. I wish it wasn't 4 for 3. I wish it was like 6 for 3 or something.
I'm in the same boat as you. I wish it was much more aggressive. I think right now it's almost too kind.
Yeah,
it should be, a little bit more aggressive.
it's really like baby steps, and I'm getting like a bad Wi-Fi, so hopefully I'm coming through. But it's I wish that it was, when I talked to Vinyls, and I kept trying to drive that point home, and I'm like, come on, like be more aggressive. Like if you got it correct, you can always release more later. And I think that they still have this idea that like, oh, we got to be careful. We don't want things to get too scarce. Then all of a sudden people come in and things are way out of whack price wise. It's like, when things are way out of whack price wise, you saw the most ridiculous, unstable growth you've ever seen in the history of like the world. I don't think we need to be too worried about that.
It just like, I think things could turn on a dime though. The Tatum thing is a good example. We had 10,000 people participate. That means like basically 10,000 people burned to Tatum.
Yeah.
And a Jaylen Brown. Hypothetically, like it's not going to happen. But hypothetically, we went back to the 100,000 people are back on Top Shot again. You just wiped out basically like half of every Tatum comment that exists on the platform. That doesn't work. Like,
yeah.
And that could happen at any point in time. We're like, we just onboarded 20,000 people. Like that's one stadium, right? One stadium of people. Accidentally onboarded them and we wiped out like an entire player's comments. Like it's not the worst thing. I'm just saying it's hypothetically it's possible, and it's it's fun to think about,
but now that they can mint like the same day, then that was my argument. Like you can mint the same day, so you make an apology blog and say, hey, we messed up. We're releasing an extra 20,000 Jason Tatum mints for this reason. Like I don't think that would be a big deal. I feel like they could do that. Anyway, I know that you got to go, Steve. So whenever you need to go, just give me the old sayonara and you can get out of here.
Yeah, I think, now's a good time to bounce. It was, always a pleasure coming on the show. Thanks everyone for the comments. I read them all. And personally, I'm really optimistic so far from what I've seen this week. about the season. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're in a good spot. So
Awesome. Well,
thanks for having
that's
me
a
on.
good way. Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for joining. And yeah, I mean, I didn't ask you about those community events if you're going to go to any of them, but I guess you can let us know. I'm sure you'll
The
be
short
going
answer
to
is yes,
Toronto.
absolutely. I'm going to a bunch of them. The tour. Hey, if anyone wants to visit Toronto, like that's your perfect excuse. So December, the weekend of the 17th, 18th.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll leave it with that. Weekend 17th, 18th, go to Toronto, go meet Steve. But Steve, thank you for joining. And I'll have you again sooner the next time because it's been a while.
Sounds good. All right. Have a great night.
All right. Take care. All right. Well, that was Steve Veerman, the whale. We love him. He always gives us a lot of good information, has a lot of great insights on this show. So that was great. So let me catch up on some of these comments real quick. Let's see what we got in here. Bullish. Alex is bullish. People enjoyed Steve. Poker Pros in the chat. All right. So there we go. SoRare Pro Eric. So let's see what else we can talk about today because we got quite a bit. First of all, did you guys enjoy the beginning of the NBA season? I thought it was quite entertaining. I think the Lakers look terrible. And I don't know how they're going to fix that situation, honestly, because they don't have any shooting. And it really sucks to see Russell Westbrook look like such a shell of himself. I'm curious, though, you can leave in the comments, like, what are some of your hot takes from the beginning of the season? Bleezy says, go Celtics. The Celtics looked incredible. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum look incredible. People were concerned about the young coach, and I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. I saw some clips from during the game, and he looks like he has them under his control in a way. Like they listen to this guy. So let's see what else. Trade West for Kyrie. Okay. Celtics look so handsome. I agree. They do. Detroit basketball. So Weisberg is going to be hosting a Celtics team captain's watch playback tonight on the Boards to Buckets. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. So the Pistons do have a young team, and I actually didn't keep track. They played yesterday, I take it. And did they play well? I mean, we can go bring up some statistics and see who played yesterday and how well they did play. So the Pistons, let's see here. No, they didn't play yesterday. Yesterday was just a two games. The Clippers beat the Lakers. And that reminds me, if you saw on my Twitter, I was doing something where, thanks to a sponsor we have currently, I was choosing picks. And so this is something I'm doing on my Twitter where we choose picks that day and we kind of keep track of who's winning and who's losing. And I thought somehow I'll figure out some way to reward you guys at the end, whoever's got the correct pick. So let me share that right now and I'll get the link there too. So you guys can go and check that out and let me know who you think is the pick. So the current pick, by the way, is the Nets and who was it? The Nets and the Raptors. So I actually even have a fun little video for this. So tell me what you think about this video. Ready? Here we go. Where's that video? Here it is.
Stone Cold Locks.
So this is the Stone Cold Locks portion of the show. This is sponsored by BetUS. So Tandy Time, moving on up. We got a sponsor, BetUS, for a short period of time. Now, hopefully they continue to sponsor us. That would be nice. But if you go to this tweet right here, and I'll paste it in the chat, then you can add in who you think is going to cover. So it's the Raptors plus 2.5 on the road versus the Nets minus 2.5. The Nets are favored at home, but if you do your research, and of course you can do your research for either side usually, but the Nets are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8, playing on 1 day's rest. And of course, the Nets also don't look very good, do they? So if you want to play along, then go and click that link and add your pick. And we'll keep track. If this BetUS thing continues, then I'm sure we'll be able to give back to you guys and add some cool prizes into this as well. So we have them sponsoring some tweets. We have them sponsoring a couple of streams. And if you decide to wager on their website, you can see right there, code Tandy gets you 125% bonus if you put in $100 or more, but only gamble with what you're willing to play with, of course. And that's the story there. So who do you think is going to cover? You can put it in the chat as well. Do you think the Raptors are going to win on the road? Do you think the Nets are finally going to win? Or are they going to start 0-2 like the Lakers? Are we going to be talking about the Nets being trash as well alongside the Lakers? Because the Nets look pretty bad in their first game. And Ben Simmons also, he looks pretty shook. Just doesn't seem like Ben Simmons is going to become the Ben Simmons of old. Or I mean, that's the hot take, the big overreaction at least. Anyway, so Weisberg is saying that promo needs actual Stone Cold appearance. I mean, we do have the Stone Cold graphic. Poker Pro Eric is skipping the gym for this. There better be some good alpha in here. I mean, Poker Pro, you can always go to the gym and listen on the replay, you know. So the Lakers schedule is brutal. So if we go look at the Lakers real quick, by the way, because I know I saw this as well, but they have just an absolute brutal beginning to the season. So if we go look at their schedule, we're going to bring this up and show you. They could legitimately like lose 7 games in a row or something. Let me go share that screen real quick and we'll go take a look at the first games here. So the Lakers, this is their page here. Let's go to schedule. And let's see where we're at. So it looks like they next face the Blazers. That's at home. I mean, that could definitely be a loss. I think the Blazers are probably a better team. They then face the Nuggets. That could also very well be a loss. The T-Wolves, that could very well be a loss. The Nuggets, again, that could very well be a loss. So now we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4. That would make them 0-6. Then the Pelicans at home. That could also be a loss. Now they're 0-7. I think they could very well start this season 0-7. I would not at all be surprised if they don't have any shooting around LeBron James. And now it looks like Anthony Davis like tweaked himself the last game. So I'm concerned. If I'm a Lakers fan, like I don't know how Lakers fans can be at all confident in this team. But Dream Shaker's talking about Ben Simmons saying, give him a little bit of time. 2 years ago, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. The first regular season in a long time season game, and a lot of hate out there. Well, yeah, he does have a lot of hate out there, and I think that's the whole point. He's got like mentally, he's struggling. And I don't mean to like demean Ben Simmons at all. And I'm sure he's dealing with some really real stuff. And it must not be easy to be kind of targeted every single time you go out in the court. He was out there in Brooklyn playing around by the piers, and he took this weird looking shot and it totally airballed. And that got like 3 million comments on Twitter. So yeah, that can't be easy. And I do feel for the guy in that sense. But that is a reason why it might take him quite a while to get it together. And that, not saying like anything against him as a person, but I could understand that. So let's see. The reason why it's brutal is TV related, says Weisberg. Normally they'd have tougher games later in the year due to ESPN and TNT wanting the Lakers on prime time during March and April. TV partners decided that the Lakers aren't worthy of TV time late in the year. Well, I don't know. Jeb is Ben Simmons' number 1 hater. And Weisberg wants to know, what are Jeb's top 5 hated NBA players? And Boudevane says the point of hate is to have people mental struggling. It's not nice, but Ben deserves it. I don't know if Ben Simmons deserves it. I don't think he's like a bad person. But you know, I don't know. It's hard to say because he like had a breakdown and like, I don't know, people want to blame him and say that he like gave up on the team, but you just don't know. You don't know what these people are dealing with. So I hope to see Ben Simmons become the player that he used to be, but who knows how and when that's going to happen. Yeah, Bleezy agrees. He's not a bad person. Harden apparently is the most hated person in the NBA. But let's see what else we saw. We also saw that Zion Williamson is back. He looked really good in that game versus the Nets. He looked like he could just drive on said Ben Simmons whenever he wanted. Just they looked really good. They looked fast, and if Zion is healthy, the Pelicans to me are a sure playoff team. I know we talked about this last week with Caleb and Mike, but Ingram is really good and Zion is great. especially when he's healthy. I kind of would love to see him just dunk a little more aggressively, but I think we'll see that. We also saw that overtime game with John Morant. Morant looks great as usual. Just some incredible plays from him. We saw the Jazz and the Hornets forget to tank. We saw Paolo Banchero looking really, really good. Someone was already jinxing him, saying he scored more points than LeBron in the first game. He's like the last rookie to do that, or as many points as LeBron. So a lot of very interesting storylines going on in the NBA. It's really great to see. We saw the Warriors get their rings. We saw, the Clippers looked okay, but Kawhi is right now coming off the bench, so it's not exactly 100% confidence in his health as of right now. And we saw the Nuggets look a lot weaker than we were all expecting with that loss to the Jazz, which was kind of a surprise. And the Nuggets are kind of the darling pick. They were my darling pick when perhaps at the end of the day, the Warriors are just still the best team in the West. I think that's probably that's probably the truth, at least for now. And it's something that a lot of people don't really want to admit or don't want to see, I think. I mean, like a friend of the show, Ben Shavar, he's a big Warriors fan, and he just laughs at the fact that people just sleep on the Warriors constantly. So the question is, are the Warriors just going to be right back in the finals again? They very well could be. Jeb thinks that Simmons could be a bad person. I suppose that's fair. That's true. Let's see. Anything else I'm missing here? So Poker Pro is proud of me for not ending the stream right after the guest. Well, Poker Pro, we can go a little longer. I feel like there's more to talk about, and I'm just trying to keep you from the gym, right? So tonight though, we have what do we have? Hold on. Tonight we have quite a slate tonight, actually. We have the Pelicans against the Hornets, the Spurs against the Pacers. That'll be just gripping NBA action, won't it? We have the Bulls and the not the Wizards. Yes, the Wizards. We have the Magic and the Hawks. We got that Raptors Brooklyn game. We got the Celtics Heat, which will definitely be an interesting one. Knicks Pistons, Grizzlies, Rockets, Jazz, Minnesota, Denver, Golden State, and Phoenix, Portland. So there's a lot of really great basketball tonight. I think that Boston-Miami game will be pretty great. Can Boston make Miami go 0-2 to start the season? I don't think that's what Dream Shaker's going to want to see. Jeb says that Simmons quit on his team, threw them under the bus, has zero work ethic, and is beyond delusional. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Dream Shaker's most hated player is Miles Bridges. I think that's fair. Anyone who almost kills their wife with a beatdown is probably should be your hated player. So let me just see if there's anything else you guys want to chat about. We talked about that roadmap. I think the jury's still out on this parallels thing. If it gets people from the physical card space interested, great. But we need those people from the physical card space here. Currently, they're not here. So we need them here, don't we? My take on this whole Flash Challenge fatigue thing is it's like what MBL said as well, is that if we're just burning for things of equal value, then we're just kind of shuffling things around. And I actually think that who made a great point was actually Joey Bats when he said that you need the money to support whatever the reward is. So actually for burning to really work, you need burning to be for a minus ROI, but like on average, you're losing money. So in that regard, if it's like a loot pack where you could potentially do really well, but most people don't, I think that's kind of where the rewards need to go for the Flash challenges, and also just change it up, like those threads that I mentioned, where you can get different things, vouchers, jerseys, tickets, whatever, would definitely make the platform more interesting in that regard. And Alex is saying that cardboard collectors don't want anything to do with NFTs, which is actually not 100% true, Alex. There's a account that I follow on Twitter, which is a pretty big one. And I could even find his name because I started following him like yesterday, the collectibles guru. So this guy, he basically covers everything that has to do with physical cards. He has 21,000 followers. He's a pretty big person in the space, and he recently showed a video of these guys that were doing these breaks from, I think, Panini, and they had the packs that had the special cards in them had a little mark on them. They had like a little red mark on them. And also these guys that were doing these breaks were getting really huge odds at getting better stuff. And he said like this kind of makes NFTs a little more attractive to me. So there might be more people like him. And Bleezy's saying he converted a cardboard collector to Top Shot this week. So I do think it's possible. I don't think it's the case that cardboard collectors are just totally out on NFTs, especially because if you look at the price action of cardboard, cardboard has suffered sort of the same issues from being these speculative investments. And you've seen the value of cardboard just take a huge dump as well. It's not just NFTs. So it's not like cardboard is just sitting on their high horse being like, oh, NFTs suck. I think that there is a fair amount of the same issues happening there as well. So we talked about the roadmap. We talked about the beginning of the NBA season. One thing that we didn't talk about yet is that other NFT basketball product. And of course, what am I talking about? I'm talking about NBA X NFT. So let's go look it up. No. We're not talking about that, but Dreamshaker was on that project. Dreamshaker, tell us in the chat, is anything happening with that project? I know they had you as like a mod, so you weren't exactly like running the project or anything like that, but that is sort of like a fun thing to look at. So NBA NFT. Let's see how we're doing on NBA NFT. Well, the association. What are these things doing here? Bat Star Warriors. What's that? Wait, what's going on here? Oh no, this thing's all wacky, man. I don't even know what I'm looking at. People said something like 8 ETH. No one's buying these things for 8 ETH right now. All right, whatever. I screwed that up. But anyhow, we're not talking about NBA NFT, but we're talking about SoRare, and I think that some people are concerned in the Top Shot community because people are so like attached to Top Shot that they get worried and they see SoRare NBA and they're like, no, this is terrible for NBA Top Shot. I think if you actually look at what's SoRare and other fantasy products like it, like Super Draft and others like it, DraftKings and whatever, FanDuel, they're very different. They're different games. It's very different the way these two things work. SoRare is purely fantasy, and NBA Top Shot is not. And they're both going to try to offer IRL rewards and things like that. And what Alex says here is actually a fantastic point, which is people who love Top Shot should not be worried about competition like SoRare. They should actually be happy about it because it's a good thing. It's going to put the pressure on an organization like Dapper Labs and NBA Top Shot that they need to execute and they need to figure out how to bring the hype to their product, or people will look for other options. So that's one thing I would agree 100%. And when you talk about SoRare NBA, like their marketing approach was the easiest marketing approach. And that's got to be pretty annoying for Dapper Labs and Top Shot because they literally had a whole bunch of creators that talk about NBA NFTs and have captive audiences. And we're just like, oh, okay, let's just offer them an affiliate deal and get them going. And the reason why that sucks for Top Shot is because it's too late in the game for Top Shot to give a similar affiliate deal. Even if they wanted to give a better affiliate deal to the creators, it still wouldn't really pan out because everyone is like on Top Shot for the most part that's paying attention here. But some of you are not on SoRare. And of course, I can't talk about SoRare without pimping my link, because if you do sign up, you will be benefiting this stream. So all jokes aside, if you haven't joined up for SoRare, please do it through my link and you'll get a limited card. Now, if you want to take a look at what this actually looks like, if you guys are curious, then I'll take you there just for a second. Because it's different. It's very different for NBA Top Shot. And I think it's worth understanding like what is different about it. So I'll take a look at it with you guys, and we can look at Super Draft or look at MomentRanks or whatever you guys want to look at. But just to quickly show you like what's going on SoRare. So when you do get your SoRare registration going, you get to choose like your best player. In my case, it was between like Paul George, Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Ja Morant. I went with Luka Doncic. And then they give you 20 or 19 random other players. So you get 20 players altogether, and these are the common players. So if you look at my cards, um, these are my cards. I actually went and I bought one limited card here. I bought a Robert Covington because Robert Covington, and it might have been a bad purchase in hindsight, but Robert Covington last year on the Blazers, he got a lot of like steals and blocks and a fair amount of points. And when you play fantasy games like this, and I'm not a very good fantasy player, but when you play fantasy games like this, you want guys that kind of get stuff across the board. And Robert Covington was one of those players. However, what I learned after the fact, and this is something that you guys, if you do become active on this platform, also need to keep in mind, is that often, so I spent 2287, right? But if you go to manager sales and you filter it out by limited and you go down here and look for Covington, you will see that I spent like 23 and I could have gone here and spent 9. Okay. So that is like such an easy bad decision that I made. So clearly nothing on this stream is financial advice, right? But anyhow, so that is part of the game. And when you want to buy a limited card, you would go here because they have new card auctions and then you're bidding against other people. So sometimes you'll be able to bid and it's this auction style, kind of like eBay in a way, but every time you bid and there's less than a minute, it renews for another minute. So what ends up happening is sometimes you're going to spend more than you should have, which happened to me. So I overpriced by like 10 bucks when I shouldn't have. But anyway, back to the point here is that when you join SoRare, what you'll get right away is 20 cards. So I got Luca, and then all the rest of these are randomly assigned. But obviously, they give you some like the higher tier players based on their 10 game rolling averages. So that's why Darren Fox is like a higher tier player. Porzingis is higher tier. And then it starts going lower, like Tim Hardaway Jr., Sengun, Maxey, etc., all the way down to players who get very little playing time, like Alex Len, Yurt 7, whatever, these kind of players that, and so you kind of have to get lucky because you can't buy and sell these common players. So you got to get lucky with who they give you, and that's what's kind of fun about it. Then once you have your team, you just go and you can enter these two tournaments, which are free to enter. And now you can see what kind of numbers they've got here. So this is one reason is that like why SoRare is kind of interesting is because they have a lot of eyeballs on them right now. They have 79,000 participants right here. So there's a lot of hype, even though this is like a free contest, but that's 79,000 people. And then 1,000 people are going to get a limited card, right? But both of these are free. And on this top one, you don't get a limited card. So the limited card is worth money. You can buy and sell limited cards. The common cards you cannot. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of SoRare information here. But multi-accounts, I don't know. I wouldn't mess around with multi-accounts, obviously. But you do just need an email. Yes, you just need an email, Bleezy. Go click my link. Help out the stream. And what else can we talk about? Why don't we talk about MomentRanks Play or whatever it's called now, Collective XYZ WTF, whatever collective it's called, right? So Collective, if you guys want to look at that, we can look at that. So here we go, daily contest, as we know and we love. But as someone was, I think Poker Pro Eric was saying in the chat here, is that they reduce the payouts. Obviously, no one wants to see a reduction in payouts, but they did. It used to be 1,000 spots. No, sorry, it used to be 100 spots that got paid. And I don't actually even remember how much money was being given out per day, but I imagine it was more than $1,000. And now it's the top 50 instead of the top 100. So whatever, it's unfortunate, but it's still a free contest. There's actually one other. I mean, there's so many right now. It's kind of wild. There's another one here. I saw this on Twitter the other day. It's called AISports. This is another free to play. You just connect your wallet. It's sometimes a little slow when you do this, but it connects your wallet and then you have a few contests every day. So there's 3 contests today, and you can join them, and you just use your moments. So this one has 117 people have entered out of 1,000. So there's still a chance to play here. Your chances of winning are not super great. There's three winners, but as of right now, if there's only 100-ish players, then you can win. You have a 3% chance or so. But you guys could go check this out. I'll put this in the chat if you guys want to go and do this alongside me. Here we go. I don't know much about this company or this product at all, but I just saw it on Twitter the other day. So you go here, and then you have a budget, just like similar to SoRare, where you have as an amount of points that you can use. So 45,000, and then you just draft your team. So we can start. Of course, I'm putting Tatum in there, and I'll put I don't know. Let's put Jokic. Maybe Jokic is going to come back with a vengeance today. So it then tells you how much remaining on average you have. So since I sort of used a lot of cash on these 2 players, I don't have a whole lot left. So 5,000-ish. So we can go down, and I don't know if we can see like what the player, there's some players down here that are even less than 5,000, but they probably get next to no playing time. That's the only trouble here. So if you go to 5,500, you just got to try to look for someone who might get a little bit of playing time. So I don't know, let's say Patty Mills. Let's say, I don't know, Deadman. He'll give us a few rebounds. No, we have a center already. Let's say Grant Williams. He'll hit a couple threes for us. Who are we missing? Go scroll back up. We're just missing a guard, and we have 5,500 left. So let's find a guard. Who do we like here? Bruce Brown. We all love Bruce Brown. Let's throw in Bruce Brown. What do you think? Bruce Brown or Bones? Let's put Bones in there. So we put in Bones. There's our lineup: Patty Mills, Bones Highland, Jason Tatum, Grant Williams, and Nikola Jokic. Finalize it, enter it, and then this is connected to your Dapper wallet, and there you go. We're in the contest. So if you guys have never played this, then you should. You can earn a couple bucks. Why not? It's fun. So let's see what else we got here. I got Dream Shaker spamming the chat. He's having a conversation with one word at a time. So thank you, Dream Shaker, for helping me out with that YouTube algorithm. I appreciate that. Let's see. Is there anything else you guys want to chat about? Otherwise, we will call it a day. I feel like we did a nice job, but remember, go ahead and engage on that pick of the day. Put your picks in there. Put your picks in there. At some point, we're going to get a prize in there for the person who has the most correct picks. So I'm going to put that back in the chat right here. Click that link to go make your pick of the day. We're going to play the video again just because we love it.
Stone Cold Locks.
Yeah, go click that link. There's the Stone Cold Locks. Vote if you think the Raptors or the Nets are going to cover the spread today. And Alex asks, am I in La Liga's closed beta? I did get the email to say that I am in it. Right now, I just feel like I'm kind of spread thin across products. I don't know if I'm about to go spend money on La Liga. Maybe I would buy like a pack or two, but judging by the circulation counts that they've already released, they're already starting pretty high, like 10,000 per player, and then even more on the different tiers. It just felt like a little much, a little soon. So that has me a little concerned. So if there anything else to chat about, it looks like Dream and Poker Pro Eric are just having a good time in the chat right now. And Budavane is on board with me. He feels like the Raptors are going to win. So Budavane, if you're active on Twitter, I think you have a Twitter account. Click that link, add your pick in there, because over time we are going to add up who has the most right picks. And I don't know if we're going to do this over a month. Maybe we're going to do it over several months. and we'll figure out a prize to give to the person who gets the most picks correct. So go add in your pick in there, follow the directions on the chat on the thread, and you will get it going. So two great picks. Thank you, Dream. I didn't think that Clippers game was going to cover, because if Russell Westbrook, hit a shot, the the Clippers would not have covered, and they covered by half a point. So often that happens. It's incredible how accurate the line makers are in Vegas. It really is. Like, it's a 0.5 point differential, and that's what hits. It's just crazy. So it's pretty cool. So Grote is asking, what's the link to that AI sports thing? I'll put that in again for you. I'll put that in the chat. If you're listening on audio, it is AISportsPro.com. So they have contests that open every day, and you're not going to get rich off these contests, but it's still fun. And then I actually saw on Discord that Judgy was talking about his super draft project, and they are going to have something going on Monday, I believe. So let me actually go look at that for you guys and just inform you and earn some points for Judgy, who always gives me a hard time telling me I don't hook him up at all. I don't talk about his projects at all. That's all I hear from this guy. So let me look. It says, so they decided to go all in, and now officially will be having their first Super Draft fantasy contest next week with a $10,000 prize pool. That means approximately a $2,000 moment will be awarded to first and approximately a $1,000 to second. And I don't know if that's a free or a paid contest though. But also it says something about each of you should have a free $5 ticket in your Super Draft account for tonight's NBA fadeaway contest. I don't really know what that means. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's just a lot. There's so much to keep track of in this space. It's kind of crazy. But leave Alex Len alone. Yeah, Alex Len doesn't get any playing time. Let it get him on the court. Tell Mike James or whatever your coach's name to get him on the court. So I think that's all I got, guys. Unless you have anything else for me, I think we'll call it a night, or for me. But I appreciate you all hanging out here on a Friday. Like, we're just trying different days at the moment, because Sunday is fun, but Sunday also goes head to head with the NFL. And I just wanted to give people different options at different days and get some feedback from all of you to see like what days work best for you. I know there's no perfect day, honestly, but just wanted to try it out today on Friday and see how it felt. So let's see. Bleezy, what TS moves are you making? So I'm not making any big moves. I bought some what did I buy actually? I bought some like 60Ks in the idea that maybe it would pump a little bit in some of these burning challenges. So what did I buy again? Let me go check real quick. What did I buy? What did I buy? I bought some Klay Thompson. That's what I bought. I bought a few Klay Thompson 60Ks just based on the burning that we saw what happened with Jaylen Brown. I think there's some opportunities like that on the platform where when these burning challenges happen, there may be certain moments that rise in value relatively quickly based on how quickly and how little of those 60Ks there are for these players that don't have 35 or 40Ks, etc. Am I stacking anything? Yeah, I don't have any huge stacks. Like the Klay, I might have like 4 of them. I don't really have massive stacks of anything other than what I had from the Hornets when I was playing that CS game, and we all know how that turned off. Am I selling off? I wouldn't say I'm selling off. So yeah, my strategy, I don't have much of a strategy either way right now. Just trying to make some little moves, basically. And Poker Pro Eric, who are you using in your super draft lineup? So super draft, there's only going to be the Top Shot super draft lineup on Monday. So I currently don't have a super draft lineup unless that thing that Judgy was talking about, where you have like a free pick or something. Like, I'll go take a look at that after the show and see what's over there. So I think that's about it. Poker Pro saying that buy the legendary sets. I can't agree with that comment at the moment. But listen, we're seeing steps made in the right direction. Obviously, we want to see things made a little stronger. We want to see burning happen a little faster, but it's only 2 challenges in. So hopefully, we just continually see this moving in the right direction. That's all I got, guys. If you enjoy the show, make sure you leave a like and all that good stuff. And if you're watching on replay, leave a comment in the chat. That's always good to see the next day. So I appreciate you all. We'll see next week. I don't know what day we'll talk. We might even talk this week during the week. So keep an eye out. We'll talk again soon. All right. So appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Static Selector.